students, this is Dr. Rajneesh Kumar working as an associate professor at one of the finest institute, that is Noida Institute of Engineering and Technology, Pharmacy Institute, Greater Noida, and I am here to discuss heterocyclic compounds, and today's topic mainly belongs to the nomenclature and classification of the heterocyclic compounds. This particular topic is a part of unit 3rd, Pharmaceutical Organic Chemistry. Second subject code is BP 401T, and without wasting any time, just come on the topic. So, students, heterocyclic compounds is a very important topic because whatever we will study in the next semesters, mainly organic chemistry as well as pharmaceutical chemistry, medicinal chemistry. So, most of the compounds and drugs which we have to study in the coming days, they mainly containing heterocyclic compounds as a pharmacological compounds. So, if you do not know about the nomenclature and basics of the heterocyclic chemistry, then it will be very difficult for you to mug up all the reactions and preparations and the structure of those pharmacological active compounds, or you can say drugs. So, the first step which we should take in continuation of understanding of the heterocyclic compound is, first of all we have to understand the nomenclature and the structure of heterocyclic compound as well as the classification. So, what is heterocyclic compound actually? So, as the name suggests, heterocyclic means hetero plus cyclic. So, it means these are those compounds which are having some heteroatom in their structure and structure which is cyclic. So, heterocyclic compounds is the class of organic compound that is having at least one heteroatom in their structure other than carbon. Okay, if carbon is there, then we will say that is होमोसाइक्लिक. मतलब अगर कार्बन वहाँ पर होगा तो हम कहेंगे होमोसाइक्लिक कंपाउंड है. अगर कार्बन के अलावा कोई दूसरा वहाँ पर एटम आता है, फॉर एग्जांपल ऑक्सीजन, सल्फर, नाइट्रोजन, फॉस्फोरस, सेलेनियम, देन वी कैन से दैट it is a heterocyclic compound, okay, and cyclic ring should be there. So, again when I am saying heterocyclic, heteroatom is there, then heteroatom means either nitrogen should be there, oxygen should be there, nitrogen should be there, or phosphorus sometimes, and sometimes selenium is also present as a heteroatom in the heterocyclic compounds. Okay. So, you can just imagine the importance of these heterocyclic compounds when I am saying that they are widely distributed in the nature, both in plants as well as in animals, okay, and they forms almost one half of the total natural organic compounds known till now. Okay. For examples, alkaloids, glycosides, natural dyes, drug, proteins, enzymes, coenzymes, all of these compounds which are having so much importance for our body, for our daily routines, they are some important class of natural heterocyclic compounds. Okay. So, you can imagine how important are the heterocyclic compounds. So, when we are talking about classification of heterocyclic compounds, okay. So, as I told you earlier, if carbon is there, then we can say homocyclic compounds means there is cyclic, there is cycle, and all the member of that particular cycle is carbon. But if carbon is replaced by one or more than one carbon is replaced by some heteroatom, heteroatom means again I am repeating oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, selenium, then we can call it as heterocyclic compounds. So, these heterocyclic compounds can be classified based on their electronic structure first of all, okay, is the electronic structures. Okay. Again, the second way of classification of heterocyclic compound based on their saturation or unsaturation means these compounds can also be classified based on their saturation and unsaturation, means presence of double or triple bonds or single bonds. If only single bonds are there, then we can call it as saturated heterocyclic compounds. If presence of double bond and triple bonds are there in the structure of heterocyclic compound, then we will call it as unsaturated heterocyclic compounds. Okay. When we call it a saturated compound, then we must keep in our mind that The saturated heterocyclic compounds behave like the acyclic derivatives with modified steric properties. Pyridine and tetrahydrofuran is the main examples of the normal, or you can say saturated heterocyclic compounds, as pyridine generally you can say an example of conventional amines, and tetrahydrofuran is the example of ethers. Okay. However, unsaturated heterocyclic compounds of 5 and 6 member ring have been studied extensively. Okay. When I am talking about 5 and 6 member, it means other class of heterocyclic compounds may be also present. For example, and you imagine, if I am talking about cyclic, so it cyclic compounds, so it should possess at least 3 member. Okay. That is why it can form the ring. With 2 members it cannot form the ring. So, it may be 3 member heterocyclic compounds, 4 member heterocyclic compounds, 5 member, 6 member, and up to you can say 9, 10. But out of those category, the 5 and 6 member rings have been studied extensively because of their unstrained nature. When I am saying unstrained nature, means these rings or these compounds are most stable. Minimum amount of strains are present in the 5 and 6 member heterocyclic compounds. Because of their higher stability. So, most of the you can say important pharmacologically active compounds have 5 and 6 member heterocyclic rings. The unstrained unsaturated heterocyclic compounds includes, for example, you know that pyridine, 6 member heterocyclic compounds containing 1 heteroatom as in nitrogen, thiophene, 5 member heterocyclic compounds containing sulfur, pyrrole, again 5 member heterocyclic compounds containing nitrogen, furan, 5 member heterocyclic compounds containing oxygen as a heteroatom. Okay. And based on these moiety, if we fuse some benzene ring with suppose we fuse benzene ring with pyrrole, then the resultant molecule is called at indole. Okay. Like pyrrole is what? This is pyrrole. Nitrogen is having a lone pair of electrons, 2 double bonds is there, but when we fuse it with benzene like this, a new heterocyclic compounds, heterocyclic moiety will be originate, which is called indole. So, this is the you can say method to prepare the heterocyclic compounds. They can fuse together to obtain a new class of heterocyclic compounds. So, again these heterocyclic moieties have a large application in the pharmaceuticals, agrochemicals, veterinary products. Okay. So, many heterocyclic compounds are very useful, essential for the human life also. As I told you that in our body several biomolecules, enzymes, coenzymes, vitamins, nucleic acid, they are all having heterocyclic compounds, heterocyclic moiety in their structure. So, they are having a large you can say importance. They are very useful, and they are again they are very essential for our human life also. Okay. Can you imagine life without any vitamins? Can you imagine life without any enzymes, life without any coenzymes, life without and in the last and most important, can you imagine life without nucleic acid, DNA and RNA? And you all know that DNA is, there is deoxyribonucleic acid. These are all made up of purine and pyrimidine base. Okay. So, these are very important. Now, classification. So, 2 things I have told you. One is homocyclic compounds, all the atoms in the ring are carbon, heterocyclic compounds, all the atoms in the ring containing carbon, but 1 or more than 1 heteroatom must be there. Again, based on structure and electronic arrangement, the heterocyclic compounds may be classified into 2 categories further. The first one is aliphatic heterocyclic compounds. Okay. The aliphatic heterocyclic compounds are the cyclic amines, cyclic amides, cyclic ether and cyclic thioether. As I told you that tetrahydrofurans and pyridine is the example of aliphatic heterocyclic compounds. Okay. Aliphatic heterocyclic compounds, those do not contain double bonds, are called the saturated heterocyclic compounds. Very simple to remember. The properties of aliphatic heterocyclic compounds are mainly affected by the ring strain. Means the ring which are having lowest strain, that ring is particularly most stable. Okay. The example of aliphatic hydrocyclic compounds, as you can see, aziridine is there, ethylene oxides, then therine, oxetane, okay, 1,4-dioxane is there, 1,2-dioxane is there, tetrahydrofuran I have told you, then pyrrolidine is there, piperidine is there, and you can see no one is having double bond or triple bond in their structure. Okay. So, clearly it is it belongs to the aliphatic heterocyclic compounds. Then the second category belongs to the aromatic heterocyclic compounds. So, we know that what are the aromatic compounds. Okay. Some conditions should be there. The most important conditions are the Huckel rule, means the compound should follow the Huckel's rule, that is 4n plus 2 pi rule. Okay. So, these are all the molecules which belong to the category of aromatic heterocyclic compounds. It means they are all follow the Huckel's rule. So, aromatic heterocyclic compounds are the analogous of benzene. Okay. The aromatic heterocyclic compounds also follow the Huckel's rule, as I told you. According to the Huckel's rule, an aromatic compound must cyclic in nature with the planar geometry due to the conjugated double bonds and must have 4n plus 2 pi rule. So, most of the important feature they should possess is 4n plus 2 pi electrons. The other properties they should have, they must have, you can say this is these must be cyclic. Okay. They are having planar structure and conjugation should be there. So, now you can see furan is there, okay. 2 double bonds are there, 2 pi electrons are there, oxygen is also having lone pair of electron, so total pi electrons is equal to 6, which in accordance with the Huckel's rules. Pyrrol is having the same thing, 2 double bonds, 1 lone pair of electrons, thiopene is also having 2 double bonds and 1 lone pair of electrons. Pyridine, you can see 3 double bonds are there, planar structure in conjugation with each other. Okay. So, these are all the examples of the heterocyclic aromatic compounds. Now, based on the variety of structure, the heterocyclic compounds may also be divided into 3 categories. They can also be divided into various other categories, but 3 categories are the important. The first one is 5-member heterocyclic compounds, means the total member of the cycle should be 5. Okay. Out of 5, 1 or more than 1 heteroatom must be there. Okay. So, these heterocyclic compounds may be considered to be derived from the benzene by replacing one C double bond C bond by a heteroatom with the lone pair of electrons. If lone pair electrons, if the atom which is replaced C double bond C bond is not having lone pair of electron, then it will not be follow Huckel rule. So, it must have lone pair of electrons. Okay. Heteroatom must have lone pair of electrons, only after that it will follow the Huckel rule, and you know, as we discussed, aromatic character should be there. Based on the number of heteroatom present in the cyclic ring, this class of heterocyclic compound may be further divided into the following. Okay. So, first category is with one heteroatom, for example, furan, pyrrol, thiopene, all these moiety are 5-member containing one heteroatom. For example, furan is having oxygen as a heteroatom, pyrrol is having nitrogen as a heteroatom, and thiopene is having sulfur as a heteroatom. Okay. The remaining 4 member of the ring is carbon. Heterocyclic compounds with more than one heteroatom. So, for example, imidazole where 2 nitrogen is present in the 5-member ring at 1,3 position. For example, thiazole. Okay. Thia means sulfur, azo means nitrogen. So, sulfur and nitrogen should be there in the ring. Oxazole, means oxygen should be there, azo means nitrogen. So, oxygen and nitrogen must be there as a heteroatom. So, these are all having 2 heteroatom in the structure. Then the next category is 6-member heterocyclic compounds. Again, this class of compounds may be considered to be derived from the replacement of carbon atom of benzene by isoelectronic atoms. Similar to the 5-member heterocyclic compound, the 6-member heterocyclic compounds may also be subdivided into following categories. The first one, as we have seen in the 5-member ring with one heteroatom, for example, pyridine. You know that there is a 6-member compounds having nitrogen, one heteroatom is there. Pyrene, 6-member, again thiopyrene, so sulfur should be there. Then come to the heterocyclic compounds with more than one heteroatom. For example, pyridogene. Okay, pyridogene, 6-member heterocyclic compounds containing 2 nitrogen atom. Then pyrimidine, again 2 nitrogen atom is there in the 6-member heterocyclic rings. Pyrazine is there, again 6-member heterocyclic compounds containing nitrogen. That only difference in between these 3 moiety is the position of nitrogen. Okay. The next category belong to the fused or condensed heterocyclic compound, as we have discussed again that one or more than one heterocyclic compounds may be fused together to form a new ring. So, indole, benzofuran, carbazole, quinoline, these are all belong to the fused. Okay. So, indole, as you can see, furan moiety is there. When furan is fused with the benzene, indole will be formed. You can see pyrrole is there. Pyrrole, when fused with the benzene ring, indole will be formed. When furan is fused with the benzene ring, we will get benzofuran. Okay. Likewise, here you can see benzene fused with the pyridine. Okay. Again, you can see imidazole is fused with the pyrimidine. Okay. So, these are all the examples of fused ring. Okay, now coming to the nomenclature system. So, 2 types of nomenclature system should be followed in case of heterocyclic compounds. One is common system or trivial system, the second is IUPAC system. So, when I am talking about common system, so in common system the compound will be named on the basis of their source, okay, from which the compound was obtained. These can also be named on the characteristic properties. So, for example, picoline. Okay. So, picoline is derived from the coal tar. This is based on the Latin word pictus, means tarry. Okay. So, on the basis of source of picoline, picoline will be named on the basis of their characteristic property. When I am calling, so pyrrole, which is basic in nature. The name of pyrrole was originated from the Greek word for fiery red, because of the characteristic red color which the compound gives with pine splint dipped in the hydrochloric acid. So, this is their characteristic. Okay. The trivial nomenclature was the first nomenclature method which has been significant role in the development of heterocyclic chemistry. However, the system have some disadvantages. What are the disadvantages? The main disadvantage is by the name of heterocyclic compound in this system we cannot predict any structural information and their property. Okay. Mainly structural information. So, after all, although this method is having disadvantage of lacking structural information, till now more than 60 trivial name survive and recognized by the IUPAC system of the nomenclature. Then the second most important system is systematic method of nomenclature. It is also known as the Hans-Widman system of nomenclature. Okay. And this system mainly belongs to this rule. Okay. The name of heterocyclic compounds will be originate when we you can say when we joined prefix is followed by stem and suffix. Prefix actually is telling about the heterocyclic moiety, heterocyclic atom which is present. Okay. Heteroatom you can say. Stem is all about the ring size, okay, and type. Then suffix is there. So, the nomenclature system specifies the nature, position and ring size, number and types of the heteroatom present in any heterocyclic compounds. Okay. Now, point to be remembered during the systematic nomenclature of heterocyclic compounds. Number 1, in this nomenclature the nomenclature of heterocyclic compounds are assigned by the prefix, okay, as I told you, that indicate the heteroatom present, with stem that indicate the ring size as well as the saturation and unsaturation in the ring, and suffix. So, 3 component is there. Okay. Again I am repeating, prefix जो कि हमें heteroatom के बारे में बताता है, सेकेंड चीज stem जो कि हमें रिंग के साइज के बारे में बताता है और साथ में ये बताता है कि इसमें अनसैचुरेशन प्रेजेंट है या नहीं है. ओके. तीसरी चीज होती है stem. ओके. सॉरी, तीसरी चीज होती है suffix. Nomenclature of heterocyclic compound start with the heteroatom appears first in the table 1. So, we will see what is actually table 1. If more than 2 different atoms are present in any heterocyclic compounds, the prefix are listed in order to which they are appear in the above table T. So, this is the table 1 as you can see. So, you can see heteroatom ऑक्सीजन, सल्फर, सेलेनियम, नाइट्रोजन, फास्फोरस, आर्सेनिक, एंटीमनी, बिस्मथ, सिलिकॉन। हम इन सारे हेटेरो एटम्स में फोकस करेंगे, ऑक्सीजन पे, सल्फर पे, नाइट्रोजन पे, फास्फोरस पे, सेलेनियम पे, एंड दीज आर द प्रायोरिटी ऑल्सो। सो प्रीफिक्स वी विल यूज फॉर ऑक्सीजन इफ ऑक्सीजन इज प्रेजेंट इन a ring, then we will use oxa. If sulfur is present, then we will use thia. If selenium is present as a heteroatom, we will use selena. Then for nitrogen, aza will be used. For phosphorus, phosphor will be used. So these 5 are the main heteroatom which we have to remember. Okay, because most of the heterocyclic compounds contain these heteroatom only. Okay. Now come to the one more thing I want to tell you, that the position of saturated atom is numerically indicated with prefix